Welcome to So Guided, a spiritual travel guide for the curious. Join Carissa and Jenny, ordinary people exploring all the extraordinary ways we can connect to the universe. Each week, they investigate another spiritual modality and adventure through all the wild ways we can find high vibes, hope, and ultimately, enlightenment.
Hey everybody, today Jenny and I are popping in to do a bonus episode.
We missed you. I miss Carissa. Life has gotten crazy. We are about to embark on recording a whole nother season. And before we did, too much time is going to pass till we talk to you.
Way too much time.
So we wanted to update you. So here's our status update of where life is. Are we in the woo? Find out. You got questions? So do we.
Let's do this. All right. Hello.
Hi, stranger.
A stranger is right. It's been way too long. Our lives have gotten insanity, and I feel like we have not recorded in so long. So I'm so happy to be sitting in your office.
We're calling it the studio now.
Okay. I like it even better. I'm sitting in our studio, which is gorgeous and beautiful, and it's been a long time because life has gotten crazy. And so we decided, you know what? We need to do a bonus episode. We need to reconnect. We need to get back with people, and we need to just kind of share what's been going on. And I think what we would normally do is start with our weekly woo-woo. So Jenny, do you want to kick it off and tell everyone your weekly woo-woo?
I actually don't. I don't because I have none.
Yep.
This is like totally us being real, you guys. You know, our plan was to gear up for another season, and we're going to do it in the spring. And we weren't going to do this bonus episode. And you and I actually even lost touch with each other.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
We've just separated, gotten the minutia of life, right?
Yeah.
And so your idea was, let's do a bonus episode and talk about what's really happening when we're not in the mode. And a part of not being in the mode, I'm so sad to report, but to be honest, I don't have a woo-woo to tell you.
I know. Well, neither do I.
What the F?
We don't have a weekly woo-woo, and so that in itself is the problem, and
Yes.
that's why we're doing this. Because what had happened is we had finished season 1. Mm-hmm. We were super psyched, and we had like these grandiose plans of jumping right into season 2. And so we scheduled a couple of different things, and we're going to tell you about them. They ended up being total duds that we couldn't even create an episode about. We'll share a little bit about those. And then life started getting crazy. Both of our like real jobs started like amping up. Things were nuts. And before we knew it, people, kids were sick. And before we knew it, weeks had gone by and we hadn't recorded. And all of a sudden it's been a week, went to 2 weeks, went to 3 weeks, went to 2 months. And now here we are. And we're just like, how did this fall off? And as we're talking to each other and we're sending texts and like trying to keep in touch, we're talking about BS. We're talking about like nothing. We're not talking about what we used to tell each other, woo-woo stories. No. We used to be like, oh my God, you can't believe this. Like, no, nothing. And I feel like as we've like stopped, the first thing, the busyness of a life and our egos getting in the way, the first thing that's fallen out is like spirituality. And not that we don't believe, but it's just like, it's amazing how quickly you can come out of it.
Well, that's it. It's frustrating. And you feel guilt over it.
You feel guilty. I feel shame. I'm like mad at myself for not being in the flow. And I'm like judging myself, which is exactly what we do. It's awful. And so now I'm like mad at myself for not being in it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like, now it's become more pressure.
I know.
It's like literally pressure now to be spiritual. And I'm like, this is too much. Like, it's annoying. it's like, totally. I'm like, dude, I'm just like trying to live. And instead I'm like mad at myself for not like connecting to the universe.
I know.
Oh my God. It's
I know. Well, too, what I keep thinking about is last year, while we were recording, there was a lot of going on in both of our lives. And somehow through normal life, busy, we stayed connected and committed. And it wasn't like things weren't going wrong or that I wasn't a mom and working.
Right, we weren't working full-time jobs and you like being full-time moms. And we were still doing everything.
But we did it. So last year, and we need to find what we did right last year, is kind of a return to how did we do it, because I prioritized myself and my connection and signs and you and our podcast and our belief that there was something bigger. And somehow in a busy life, we did keep the constant. So what this time is different, that I'm broken. I sit here a broken woman who is not
broken woman.
It's like, where is my central, like, okay, it Shay hit the fan, but I could still get through because I have this constant in me that I do believe in.
Yes.
And yes, I'm feeling frustrated and guilty and like, what the F? Like, last year was busy.
Right.
You know? So like, what makes this year different? And I want to dig into that.
Right.
I also want to acknowledge, if you guys listened to us last year and you're like, how do they keep this like belief and all that? I don't know. And now I'm like, let's figure out what we did do.
Well, and I think too, what's so interesting is like when we were in the flow and like into it, like I didn't appreciate it as much as I appreciate it now that I'm not. And I feel like, again, we talk about asking for signs and all this stuff. Like now that I'm not in it, I feel like I don't see signs. It's not in my face as much. And like, we need to like get back into it. So I think one of the first things that threw us off, so we'll tell you guys kind of what happened.
Let's tell you the demise.
Is we were the first demise. Yeah, exactly. So we were all set to start recording season 2 immediately. And we were gung-ho. We were so into it because we were in the flow. And so we had this amazing thing happen where we got a sign, which was so clear.
It was one of the best signs we ever got, we thought.
One of the best signs we literally ever got. So basically, Jenny had found a shaman that we were going to go to. There's this shaman event going on in a town over, just happens to be on a Sunday. She's like, I don't know if like you can make it. I don't know if you want to go. She's like, I know it's hard on the weekends. And it was like a group thing. And I'm like, I don't know, it's a Sunday again, just like looking at, so I look at my calendar to see, and the event was already in my calendar. It literally said shaman event. I'm not lying. I'd never even heard of this. It was something she had found. And somehow in my calendar, it said shaman event at the time that she had found it. So we lost our effing minds.
We were jumping around the studio.
We were like, this is crazy. This is like, you can't make this stuff up.
No.
Honestly, it was like someone had possessed, like it was like, it had taken over my phone. It was so meant to be. We're like, this is going to be big. Like somehow this event was scheduled in my phone before I had ever even heard of it. Literally, right? It was the craziest thing.
When we looked at it, it just said in like weird caps, the shamanic event.
Yep.
And it was in pink.
It was in pink.
It was in pink and the whole day was blocked off. And I have never mentioned this to you guys.
No.
And the part she's missing that I have to share that makes it funnier, that you'd be like, oh, maybe Jenny mentioned it in passing or texted her. No, someone Carissa doesn't know invited me to it. And I love you, my friend, but you get jealous.
Of course. Well, you're not going to go to a shamanic event with some like rando. I'm like,
No, but what ended up happening was I didn't tell you about it because I had this person and I didn't want to offend her and be like, well, I have to bring Carissa too to this like intimate thing she invited me to. And so on this day, what was funny is I was being secretive about it. And I was like, I have a secret to tell you. And what was crazier was like the universe was in your phone being like, oh no, it ain't a secret. Carissa was always going.
Yeah, it's true.
In fact, this was so like such like an obvious sign that we told our husbands, and like my husband, who usually is like, you're leaving me for a Sunday, couldn't wait for us to go for what Carissa was going to happen to you.
So they were like, okay, I'm going, we're going, we go.
We go.
And we didn't know what to expect. Again, just a shamanic event. Someone else had kind of gotten you into it. We go there. It's in a beautiful location. It was a beautiful location. It looked like was it a church? But it wasn't a church. It was like a landscape. I don't know what it was. It's a beautiful spot. So we go in, really excited. We meet the lady who's running it. She seems lovely. And we do it before. So we did it before.
We did it before. We were so excited.
Like what we were supposed to learn about, like what we're going to take, our takeaways.
So just to pause to clarify, because we will go to a shaman next season.
Yeah.
This is a shaman leaving it, but it was about the circle, the four corners. We learned so little that I can't tell you what it is, but it wasn't shaman specific. It was led by one. And it was some theory and philosophy that one of our takeaways was that I didn't even learn it. I was confused the whole time.
I was confused the whole time too. And honestly, I feel like someday maybe we will dig in, because it was about how the four directions of the world have different meanings and light, and you can lean into them, but super confusing, was not presented well. And what happened was, I feel like what we found is when you go to these group sessions, and the leader usually says this too, they tend to take on a mind of their own based on the group's needs. So so they kind of in the beginning tell you what you're going to do for the day. And somehow by the end, you look back and half the stuff they had kind of gotten you excited about didn't happen. Yes. So that's always a little frustrating for me and Jenny, because we like to know if we're told we're going to do something, we don't want you skimping on us and like not doing it. So that happened for sure at this one where I was like, oh my God, I couldn't wait to do this and we didn't do it. I'm so mad. But one of the big things was they broke us out into 2 groups. And me and Jenny were in different groups. And basically one person, it was 2 circles, and one person would go in the middle of the circle. And like the people around you would kind of, I guess, for lack of better description, because this wasn't what it actually was, but would just try to read your energy and tell you what they thought you needed to hear.
By the strangers.
By the strangers.
Who no one came to this saying, I have powers. These are like,
these are like
normal people of all walks of life, by the way. So I think I actually even felt on the spot of like, oh, I have to tap into my intuition right now, or what was I supposed to do? And it really wasn't explained either.
No, it wasn't explained at all. And so they had like a helper teacher and like the real, like the quote unquote real shaman there who was like, again, leading it. And she went to your circle and I had this like helper. And again, it was like, people were like, had no idea what to do. And so it was a lot of like chaos and just kind of like felt like a lot of wasted time, for being honest. Like I wasn't like getting a lot. And I will say the people in my group ended up being lovely. We shared information and like nice, like light topics. I think everyone went there for some sort of spiritual healing. And so within mine, you know, people were like going in and out, and we're like sharing like, you know, nice things like, hey, like, let yourself surrender, or, you know, very basic stuff like things will get better, you know, like that type of advice. It's just like nice words.
I found it to be more like a group therapy session.
Agreed. Me too.
And I think people found solace in it because at the end, you know, people did have like crying because strangers were telling them you'll get better. It really was less spiritual than we thought.
It was very much like a group therapy.
And it felt like group therapy. So like people are giving you words of encouragement, which felt great, but I didn't feel like connected to the universe, nor did I understand the subject matter.
No. And so we were in very separate groups. And I will say that Jenny's group was like full of tears. Like I kept seeing people bawling over there, and like we're
not me.
Well, not you, but like there was a couple people that kind of monopolized the time. Like I would say my circle kept going in and out, and there's probably only like 6 people in each circle. So it wasn't like huge, but like each person kind of got their fair share of time in the center of the circle. And I felt like for you had a couple people that were like in there, like having like these, like what I perceived from a distance as major revelations. Because you had the shaman, the actual shaman. And I had like the assistant who I also actually loved. I thought she was amazing. And she was her own like type of teacher who I actually would go to. I thought she was great. But at the time, when you're at the event led by the leader, I was like, why isn't the leader coming over to our circle too? So I was feeling very like gypped that we got like the assistant, and your like circle is having these like revelations of tears. And you had like at one point I looked over and there was like all 6 people were over this one person with hands on the head. You guys were like chanting or something. And I'm like, what is happening over there? And I was having major FOMO of like my group wasn't getting the same thing. And like your perception, what were you thinking when you saw my circle?
Exactly the same. So I saw like giggles and then like moments of tears. It seemed more spread out, that everyone was having a moment. And in mine, I actually didn't feel bad within my group because it was really clear that someone needed extra love. And I thought, oh, well, this is why I'm here today. And that was okay. But I did look at yours and I'm like, oh, she got the winner group. And I was like, fine with it. But I think like we both looked at each other's groups and was like, I wish I was in that group. So just that by example is our ego involved in an event. And then if an event's going right, that's woo-woo, by the way, you're not ego saying, oh, I want to be in that one, or I'm jealous. No. You're just in the moment. I never felt in the moment at this.
Not once. It was hilarious. So like literally like we did those circles, which was supposed to be a very small portion of the day. We were there for like 4 hours. It turned out to be the whole day. So then we left and then it was over. And then they're like, we didn't get to anything else on the agenda. We never really learned about the 4 corners. And so we're like, we left and then we got back in the car, and you know, first thing Jenny said to me was like, oh my God, you got the better group. And I started laughing so hard because I'm like, oh my God, that's what I thought the whole time. And so very long way of saying that we were supposed to do it before and after on this, and that was going to kick off, like this event was supposed to kick off season 2. Because we're like, we had never been to anything like this. It sounded like stuff. We had no idea what these 4, like what the 4 directions we're going to do. We didn't know, and we still don't know. And we couldn't do an episode.
We'll circle back because we did say, so we had a date afterwards. We said we're going to go sit and have one cocktail together and discuss what just happened. And normally you and I would be like, in like major awesome woo-woo mojo mode. Instead, we were like dying laughing. It wasn't what we thought. We're like, okay, fine, this happens. You get your things, and that's life, and that's normal. But it did, if we're honest, lodge a little teeny seed in us that was like, all right. And as busy life crept in, and then the last woo-woo thing we did didn't work out. quite frankly, one thing we never talk about is some of these things are crazy expensive. Like, it's hard to finance our adventures, if we're being honest, and we have to talk our husbands into it.
Right.
So when something like that happens and I have to prioritize like children and life, it's like, all right.
Well, and when you're trying to, like, that was supposed to be our next episode. So we're supposed to record about the after, and we have nothing to talk about. And we're like, okay, we can't share. This isn't going to be a good episode. And then we had another episode, which we're still going to do.
Oh, and I was so excited about it. But this is what...
This is still going to happen.
We got to tell them when I just fell off the wagon of life.
Yeah, no, well, our next episode, as you guys know,
exciting.
That Jenny is, like, redoing her house. And, like, basically what we're going to do is have a woman come and, like, make sure, like, the spirits are happy, right?
Yeah. So this woman we have actually gone to for psychic and other things, and she's wonderful. And one of the things she's known for is she goes to a house, especially a house as old as mine. So mine's an antique. They call her an antique. She was built in around 1903-04. Very, very old. So lots of history. She comes, cleanses it with sage, does mantras, walks through, cleanses it, tells you if there's any spirits, gets rid of the spirits, and also can clear the air for the renovation to be smooth. I so didn't understand everything she was doing. I thought, how exciting to find out all this information. So we booked her perfectly within the 2 days before my renovation was to start. And because my demo's so intense, it had to happen then.
Yeah.
It had to happen then. Because what I later learned was my rehab was way more than I ever knew it to be. Like, I did not know how intense it was going to be. But sadly, the crazy, like, snowball of things that really, like, I think I never recovered from, quite honestly, was we had done that thing, and then I was excited for her, is for the first time in all of COVID, my whole family got COVID.
Yeah.
I got it the week we were moving out. I couldn't move to pack our house. I was still in quarantine. The day that Oliver returned to school, broke his arm in the middle of our move, needed a surgery with pins. I couldn't be at the hospital. Then the day we were at the hospital with him under anesthesia, getting pins reconstructed in his arms, was the day that after we moved out, my rental wasn't ready. We had to move, my stuff to my parents. My parents don't live in the town school is. It was wild. And at the same time, the most intense part of work ever hit, where one of my clients who's in construction, had a series of massive decisions that required me. So I'd go in the morning in the clothes from the day before because I didn't know where my clothes was after being up with Oliver crying from the pain of his surgery. Oh. It was absolutely wild. I'm forgetting some of the things. Oh, my anniversary trip was in the middle of it.
Oh, yeah.
We canceled it. Oh, yeah. I horribly rescheduled it because they made me reschedule it right away. So I couldn't do it because we had COVID. So I scheduled it for a day that ended up being even worse almost.
Well, and you ended up scheduling. It was like a woo-woo little trip that we were going to get content from.
It was going to be content again.
But your husband had like all these deadlines, so you were not in the zone there. So you actually like wasted like a woo-woo trip because he couldn't even focus or like get out of the work zone. So that was awful. And I will say, like, watching from like the sideline as like my best friend is going through all this like insanity, it's so easy to then get busy with my own stuff, only because like all of a sudden we don't have a set thing.
No, and then
which we used to have. And we used to have a set thing.
Come hell or high water.
We would do it.
And busy.
It
And
doesn't
sad
matter.
for you. Or like you had trauma. We still did it.
We would find time. And like even like we had our birthdays and we got together for our birthdays. We're like, oh, we should record. But then it fell off because we hadn't caught up. And so like all these things, like it's amazing how fast you can
slip.
You can slip. And that's what happened. Like we have both like you have like all these like major things. And like I just have like life. Long story short, we went out I think we were out to drinks, just the two of us for our birthdays. And that's where we came up with this bonus episode. We're like, oh my God, like
we have to share.
Honestly, we want to share and let everyone know where we're at. But we're also like, we want your help in like getting back in the flow. And like, we're going to do it. Like we have no doubt. I didn't realize is how much I miss it. Like how much I miss being in the flow and how much I miss like actually being connected and feeling in the flow and how different you feel when you're not. And now the added like insanity of putting like blame and pressure on myself for not being.
Yeah.
So it's been absolutely crazy.
It is. We're not here to say, oh, woe is us in our life.
No.
I hope that's not what's being heard, because the truth is we more wanted to be like, what do we all do when you know you're a person who loves the stuff and it excites you, and it's even deeper than that. It gives you purpose. It makes you feel bigger than the minutia of the crap of your life at the moment. How do you find your way back when you're a little bit lost? And to shine a light on, you do get lost.
You do.
Like you do. And I don't have the answer fully. And I think we said, this is our intervention today.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, this isn't a good day for either of us. And I don't remember which one of us cracked that was like, this has got to happen. We're just doing it.
I reached out to you and I was like, I don't think we can actually record. Let's just and you're like, no, we have to. I'm like, okay, fine. We'll do it. We have to do it. And
I feel better.
Don't you feel better?
So this is one of my action items moving forward is it's like working out where you have a million other things to do when you fall out of working out. This is so the same.
Yeah.
It requires at least directing your energy this way in a purposeful way.
Right.
So our action item this week is to see each other and do this.
Right.
And whatever your small things are to get back to it, that's what I'm seeking right now. So
I know I haven't even been able to ask for signs.
No.
Share with the group. Tell everybody what you have not been doing.
I have not been meditating.
Jenny, the meditator, has not been meditating.
I cannot. And that's where shit has hit the fan. Honestly, I meditated through so much. Through multiple moves, multiple crazy things that happened that were really traumatizing, sad, awful.
Yeah.
I meditated through all of it for over 3 years, I think now we're at. And during that time period, I stopped meditating, and I sporadically have tried the last couple weeks because I'm trying to claw into anything to get back to my old self right now. But I'm not meditating. And I also think that's important to say. So there's no all right, this happens. This happens.
Right.
So
my
question is, Carissa, what next? What next? What next? I want to go back. Now listen, by the nature of our podcast, which I adore and is never an obligation, it is seriously the most fun, happy part of our lives. And our community we created, you guys, love you
guys so much.
And all of your feedback. We're coming back. And I know by the nature of creating new adventures that we're going to report on, it will return. But till we get there, right now, in the minutia of our life, how do we regain our calm and our zen and our sense of universe?
Well, one of the things that we had talked about too is those glimmers, those little things that remind us that we can still be in the flow. We can still be really busy, but still have this as a steadfast part of our life. And it's not these hit you over the head knowings that we've gotten before,
right.
But it's the little glimmers that basically remind us hey, the universe is still there. It still has our back. It's still supporting. We're still in abundance. We can still move forward. And a lot of, I feel the glimmers that we've gotten is from our people.
Yep.
Our audience, our friends out there who are sending us their little reminders, who are doing it on Instagram, those little glimmers, even the texts I still get from friends who have gotten things. It's those are oh my God, thank you. I had the best little glimmer happen to me.
Yay.
Yesterday, actually, and I was this is awesome. I did my friends get together over the weekend, my college friends, there's 7 of us, and we do our favorite thing gifts. Remember, I did this last year where we gave a pendulum, and I was nervous about sharing with them. And now we've gone the total opposite way, and all of my friends are super supportive and into it. We had a psychic come one of the nights we were away, which was fun. And then one of my gifts was my favorite things. I got an oracle book, and only 3 of your friends get the oracle book. Everyone, you get 3 things, and that's how it works. So I got an oracle book, and we were busy, didn't hear much about it. It's a book. It's it's one of those ones where you open a page and it says a full message. Well, I got a call yesterday from my friend, and she's like, oh my God, I have the craziest story to tell you. And she's about the oracle book. She was the one that got it, but she wasn't oh, I'm so happy. She's oh, I'll check it out. This is one of those weird stories where her sister-in-law is dating a guy for 7 years, and my friend doesn't like this guy. Okay. Thinks he's a scumbag, has a bad feeling about him, and has honestly been feeling he's cheating on her, and been this this kind of this drama. And she told the sister-in-law, hey, I think he's cheating on you. I don't have proof. And the sister-in-law is hey, thank you. I know you're looking out for me. She's I just get a really bad vibe from this guy. She's I just don't trust him. And so the sister-in-law and the boyfriend are actually in Florida right now. And another person that my friend knows basically was hey, I have some information. Like, I know this guy is cheating, and told my friend who the person is and that she like, so this like really like big information that while like the sister-in-law and boyfriend are in Florida, like my friend got confirmation that he is cheating. And it's just like a, you know, I'm sure we could say like, maybe she should stay out of it, whatever. She didn't know what to do. She's like, I have this. I want to protect my sister-in-law. She has so much opportunity, but she's like got this like
He's
loser.
dragging her.
Yeah, he's dragging her now. And she's like, this is like, maybe this will be the breaking point. But she's like, what do I do? And she's like, so I consulted the Oracle book. And I was like, okay. She's like, I consulted the Oracle book. She's like, I said, I put my energy into it. And I was like, help me like kind of look at the situation. Like, what should I do with this situation? And she basically opened it up to a page. And the page she got was rattle cages. And it literally said, you need to like shake things up. You need to share your truth to help people like get out of like a funk. And she was like, it's so crazy. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. But like, it was such a good glimmer.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. There's still answers and there's little nudges along the way. One of the things that's hard to recognize is like, all right, we're like creating a term. We got it from a meme, right? There's the meme about the glimmers. Look for the glimmers, not the triggers. But what I think is perfect about that word is like, I feel like last year in pursuit of it all and while connected, we had like massive knowings to share and massive woo-woos. And these glimmers are more important because they're lighter and more like, boop, boop, here's an answer.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm
still here. Like, I don't know. I think those are important to look for. And they're partially gratitude. Some days just there's nothing. And so there's like, what am I grateful for? And that could be your glimmer. Or the world could give you a glimmer. I had a real low point where my bandwidth with work was so, like I was just, I'm overwhelmed. I'm like working late at night in the studio, like in darkness, and while my family's at home. And like, I'm just overwhelmed right now with just workload. And I knew I needed help. I needed an assistant. And I've asked for an assistant. I've asked the universe to send me an assistant very generically. Just send me an assistant. I need help. Just send me someone wonderful was my very generic wish. And I remembered that one time I had heard to get what you need, be more specific. And in my career, in my last life of career, when I was a wedding planner, I had the most amazing person on my team. I'm just going to say her name, Savannah. So if she ever hears this one day, she can know how special she is to me. She was stunning inside and out. Like smiles all the time, like just one of those people where it could do the complete crap task that you don't want to ask someone and then depend on her for the coolest, most amazing, important thing. Just like a rock star human being. And I was like, oh my gosh, universe, I just need to clarify, like send me a Savannah. And I really put that out there. And a day later, now granted, it took action on my part. I put on Instagram, on my work Instagram, I'm looking for someone, but I didn't even put it in any real like resume, like collection thing. Just on Instagram, I said, I'm looking for an assistant. I immediately saw one that literally I got a bunch of responses. I just had like this glowing, like it was like her name was glowing.
Oh my God.
I swear to goodness, her name, I did it. Her note to me was like instantly the right thing. Met her. I honestly only talked to a couple other people. I didn't get back to everyone. Didn't explore anyone. My gut instinct, which I haven't felt in a long time, was this is her. Hilariously, her name is my name. And Jenny. So that makes everyone's life harder at work in that way, but that's fine. Anyway, she was exactly the spirit of the person that I had put in the world. She is exactly the same kind of person. That's her presence. She's a little light. She's happy.
I love it.
Young and energetic and like everything. So anyway, short story long or long story short, like my glimmer was like, I am supported. And when I remembered something I used to do, which is get specific on your wish.
Oh, I like that.
That was when it happened. Like after months of generically being like, help, universe, somehow help. So I guess one of my like epiphanies was, goodness sakes, I'm in the darkness this last few months. But when you take a minute to be like, let me get specific and let me really direct my energy to the universe and say, I'm asking. Honestly, I've been playing the victim and like wallowing it. Yeah. My birthday morning, I cried because my life feels like it's in the dumps. Like when you choose to say, let's get out of the dumps and let's like ask for help as one, looking for gratitude in others. Anyway, I'm kind of all over the place, but it's because my brain is all over the place.
Well, and I think that it is like remembering the things that we were preaching before, you know? Like, it's like so funny because
I hope we weren't preaching.
Well, not,
but yes.
I mean, I think we have to like kind of practice what we preach. We have to like say it enough so we buy into it for our own good, not for them, for each other.
Yeah.
It is. It's like doing the things that we know we're supposed to do, but like maybe in a different way because we're so not into it right now. And like one of the things that I was telling you before that I've started working out again. So again, I'm like just like trying to go to a workout class. I'm like trying to like just work out. And what I've been finding is during my workout class, I'm like, this can be a time that I try to get in my head about stuff I believe in and like saying like, oh, I feel great. I feel good. Like I've been trying to use the I am statements while I'm working out, which I've never done before. Usually I'm in my own head again, just kind of thinking about my checklist of to-dos. And I've been trying to be very present while I'm working out and almost use that as like a time of like, okay, this is my time. If I'm not going to have time to do a lot of other stuff, like working out is my time.
Yes.
I'm enjoying it. And that's when I've been newly over the past like month trying to like use that as a way to get back into it. And it's been good. And I feel like amazing. I leave and you feel great after you work out anyway. Like, you know, you're just like proud of yourself for doing it. So if I can like maximize that by also getting like the right like thought process. So I feel like that's another way to try to get.
That's really good advice. I want to try that.
Try it. I mean,
I know like Brian does that. My husband tries to meditate multiple times because he's seen what it's done for me. Not recently, but in the past. And he's like, all right, I'm just calling a spade a spade. Like I am not a meditator, but he loves running. And we've realized, and like before I came to you today, he's on deadline and he's stressed out. And I said, honey, what can we do for you today to make your day better? I'm like, do you need to go for a run? He's like, yeah, I think I do. Because he found that there's a pocket within his run that's his meditation. And I think we've said that before, but like to actually do it is another thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's so awesome. I've never heard you use that as a tool. And I love, once you acknowledge something like that, you're going to lean into it.
Right. I'm trying. And I'm very cognizant of doing it.
So I guess that's another tool. I'm talking out loud for ourselves.
Yeah.
In your epiphany is, okay, what we were doing wasn't working. What are we doing right now where we could find our peace? Right.
Right.
You know, like that sort of stuff. Maybe it doesn't always look like it always did. Maybe this is the year
to adapt,
of chaos and it's the chaos so deep that spirituality doesn't look like that same. Can we release the shame, the guilt that it's not, and say, where do we find it? If it's in your workout, good for effing you.
Right.
Well,
and I feel another thing that's happened is as I've fallen out of it, I've like replaced my time with stuff that doesn't like serve me or help me. And I don't care because I like actually like, okay, I'll go down a rabbit hole on Instagram or I'll do like whatever. I'll read like the news, which is so depressing, which is like, I just do. Mm-hmm. And one of the things too, which I'm like a huge like true crime, like I like true crime, all that. So when I'm in the zone, like I'll like switch out true crime with like some spiritual podcasts or spiritual reading.
I like that.
And like, but when I'm not and I haven't been in the zone, I'm just like hardcore like murder shows and this and like cult shows. And I'm like, even the content I'm surrounding myself with is not like good
supporting.
For me. It's like, honestly, it's giving me like, I read these things and it's like giving me like, again, I feel like, oh, I'm enjoying it. But at the same time, like, this is like not, like, this is giving me like anxiety.
Agreed.
Like, why am I doing this? And so I've had to make a conscious effort to not let myself rabbit hole on like junk food of that type of stuff and like and get out of it. And I'm like, if I'm going to listen to like, or I'm going to watch a murder show, I have to like balance it with at least like a chapter in one of these 2,500 books I purchased about spirituality.
And that didn't finish.
Yeah. I didn't finish.
No,
I'm in between 20. I read 20 books at a time, but like, it's funny. Like I'll look at the book I want to read. I know it'll make me feel good, but instead I'll go to frickin' like Instagram or whatever. And I'm really trying to at least balance it, not go one so hard, one or the other.
One thing I have to return to because I loved it is you called it the junk food of like what we're digesting for news, for social media, for whatever. It is junk food. Like the amount of time you could fall down the rabbit hole is outrageous. And identifying a little bit of that space to be something better, whether you have the Calm app and you put that on, or as you say, like a podcast that's spiritual and like makes you happy or whatever. I had like gone away from social media for work and stuff. Now I can find myself stuck for 2 hours. I find myself Bravo Real Housewifing every night of my life so that I numb the drama of my world, but I go to bed with anxiety because of these people and my anxiety.
Yes.
Now let me tell you, sometimes that's also my outlet to like not think about me. But it is junk.
I think it's an outlet, and I think it's okay. And that's, again, I'm not going to judge myself for doing it.
It's the amount you expose.
But I think it's the amount, and I think it's like when I'm in this, I could go really heavy into just doing that. Like, and that be my outlet.
Yes.
But there has to be like a little bit of like, I always said it wrong, so it's yin and yang, it's yin and yang, apparently. I need to add some of the stuff that's like the good feeling and the good vibes and like the good focus.
We need to add it back.
Yeah, we need to add it back.
What's funny is before we started talking, you and I both thought we had no stories. And what's funny is our glimmers are more than we thought as we started talking. So I think, by the way,
that's
good. We should talk more. but
that's
what I was going to say.
That is actually, that's why we do the weekly woo-woos, because we want people to share. Because it does it remembers. And that's what I like. I think that's why we ask you guys to share with us. So please go to our Instagram, go to our email, hello@soguided.com. Tell us your stories, and like, we're going to share them next season anyway. Like, that's going to be part of what we do, because we think the more that we get these awesome things out to remind us, everyone just feels better.
It's such a part of it. That's it. Is we never meant for this to be like a one-way street where like we're just talking at anyone for a story. We came together as like, there's got to be people that are like us, that are questioning, and some days are dark and some days are like, I'm feeling some juju here, and like exploring and curious and fun and deep and all the things, and like, we don't want to be alone talking. So I actually really, 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 really want to hear what our friends and listeners want us to do.
Yes.
We haven't booked our schedule, and we're going to be starting it in the new year. And I really want to hear what people want to hear about.
Well, and I think some of the stuff that we keep thinking we're going to book, it's like not happening. So I think we need the universe, as in our friends, to like tell us, like, give us what we don't know, and we'll follow through on it. Because I feel like we need like some direction.
I've always said this. There has to be a manifesting one. That's always been but that one feels overwhelming because it's so much, and I don't want to preach manifesting, but I want to do it.
You are a master manifester.
Here's my new obsession that like I backed away from for a very long time. You brought it up for a minute, but I've gone deep. So when I was growing up, my only like high school year woo-woo was that I think ghosts and ghost stories are the coolest ever.
Yep.
I'm positively obsessed, so I need to share something. We are so doing a ghost episode, and it might be more than one, but like, here are my obsessions. I found House Beautiful, the magazine, which is one of my like dreams of life, is to be in that magazine one day for,
Weren't you in it?
I was in Better Homes and Gardens.
Oh, yeah.
Not my house, but whatever. Anyway, so I love House Beautiful. They do once a year a podcast called Dark House, where two of their editors who are obsessed with ghosts and like woo-woo and spiritual investigate houses. It's two friends that are editors, and they don't tell each other what they investigated and come and tell the story of a house. I am obsessed with it. You have to start listening. I'm literally recommending, because I know if you're listening to us, you probably are curious about ghosts too. So good. It's called Dark House.
Oh, yeah, that sounds so good.
Like, one of theirs, they did the mansion that Taylor Swift owns. In Rhode Island.
Oh, wow.
And in Watch Hill.
Watch Hill.
And it's like super, super haunted and has crazy stories, but they tell the history. It's actually it's not woo-woo. It's truly like fun haunted house. It's like telling stories more, and it is awesome. But it got me, I'm listening to this in the mornings right now because I'm not in spiritual mode, and I love it. That combined with, I found the British original sitcom of ghosts. It's called Ghosts. It's so good. You have to watch it. I'm watching it with the kids.
Really? Okay.
And it's like this cheeky British show, which they made an American version. I prefer the British one. And it's an old house that this young couple inherits. And there's like 10 ghosts from different parts of life that died in it are stuck together. And you end up falling in love with the ghosts. It is by no means woo-woo or anything.
Yeah.
But like, our whole family, like, we've fallen in love with the ghost characters. The show is darling. Love it. And I just love the show. Anyway, between these two things, I couldn't be more obsessed with ghosts. I will save this for later. The rental I'm in definitely possibly is haunted.
Oh, it is? I thought thought it wasn't.
No, pause.
Jenny's house that you sold before this was haunted, and we think this one that you're renovating is haunted. So now you got another haunted.
Yeah, no, I don't think the one I'm renovating is haunted.
You don't?
No.
It just looks like it is?
It just looks like it is.
Okay.
So we called it that because that's why my baby needed love.
Yeah.
She needed love. I love Carissa as being a real friend. Everyone else will be like, your house was so pretty. Listen, it was pretty when it was built, but it has like needed love. And
it was like one of the shutters was like crooked.
It literally looks like if you were like doing the front of a novel of a haunted house story. It's absolutely a beautiful house that needed love, that was giving haunted house vibes. but I did not think it was haunted. And I'm partially saying that out loud to protect myself from believing such a thing.
Well, you're going to have it cleared.
We'll have our lady come and clear it. But what I do have is so many ghost stories. I've only lived in historical homes. Even the rental I'm in is in our little town, is older than this house. It's built in the 1800s, is one of the original house.
Give us one little ghost story to get us excited, because I need to hear one. You can't like drop that and then not tell me something that happened in the house you're currently in.
I will do two things. I'm going to commit to Instagramming one of the pictures in the house.
Okay.
It's so old. It has like pictures from the olden days that like had to be like the original film where like they stood there and let it sit for an hour, and they're framed in the house. So there's an eerie vibe just by these pictures, which I love. And I've like stared at them like a creep. Like it's so cool to imagine who's lived there, how many lives have happened if you're built in the 1800s in the little village of our town. It's literally the original settlers in New England. So one of the things is that like footsteps at night, and I get up and it's so loud and noticeable that like I get up and my kids are asleep. The dog's laying down in the corner. Brian's next to me in bed. The footsteps. And Isabel, my little peanut, who always is in tune, there's a room she won't sleep in, and like gets up. And even when she sleeps with her brother, and like she won't even sleep in there with him. So anyway, that's my light story. But I'm super into ghosts. And one of my most happy things that I found out, and I'm going to put this on our plate, and this is a teaser for next season, because I've had multiple requests for us to do a ghost show.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
And quite frankly, I was so into healing and all that stuff. I actually feel like spiritually, I leaned so heavy into the healing last season. I want our next season to be more adventures. About ghosts so many times, so I want to do it. One of the last episodes of the podcast I just told you about, the haunted house is turned into a museum, is in Massachusetts.
Oh, amazing. Is it in Salem?
No.
Well, it's funny you say it, because I was just talking to a guy at work, and he lives up north by Salem, and there's a restaurant that is super haunted. Been on all these haunted things that you can go and eat in the basement of the restaurant, and like you can feel the haunted vibe. So I meant to tell you, we have to go to this restaurant, eat there, and then we can go to the haunted house museum. It's amazing.
All right,
I love it.
So that's it, because
and we have a million haunted houses. We both lived in haunted houses.
We both have. And we're gonna tell, we have like deep and full and wonderful stories on this subject. They might have to be a couple of them. I also feel like if you guys know one, tell us too. We want to do like, big picture thing, and we want to go do a weekend in Savannah or whatever. But let's be honest, the way this year is going, it has to be local, probably. And I'm just calling a spade. But I was so excited that literally they said the most haunted thing they investigated in 3 seasons of their show is in Massachusetts.
Oh, it's amazing.
So anyway,
we had heard rumor that your rental might be haunted.
I just have to say, obviously, first of all, I'm proud of us that we made this morning happen.
Yes, me too.
And we commit to returning.
Yep.
We are coming back. Don't give up on us. I know I suck at Instagram. You said you were going to join.
I did post twice.
She posted twice.
I did.
We will circle back, and I think that's one of our commitments is I do feel like Instagram could be a community where we are engaging together. Like for our friends who we love who are texting us offline, go on to Instagram so our community can become a community. And I look forward to coming back.
Yeah.
If you send us anything in the meantime, you and I are 1,000,000,000% checking, though not posting.
Yeah, send us your woo-woo, send us your show requests, send us your glimmers, and we will respond. Because honestly, it's keep us going. Keep us going. It's our legit glimmers.
And remind us to stop, to keep doing like what we did this morning.
And remind us not to judge ourselves when we fall out of it.
And back at you, people. But anyway, we miss you. Can't wait to return. I think one of the fun things that I did discover in falling off the wagon is in wanting to return is almost being more playful and adventurous.
Yeah.
So let us know. Do you agree with that or not agree with that?
Yeah.
Because we're here to support you. Full disclosure, we're in it, but there are ways to get back, and we're coming back full throttle. And stay tuned.
Thanks all. Thank you for listening. We've loved being your spiritual travel guides and hope this made you feel more connected. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast player. Your reviews help us create the guide that you are looking for. We'd also love to hear your stories.
You can follow and share your experiences with us on Instagram at So Guided Podcast. Your story might just be our next weekly woo-woo. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the universe. And remember, stay curious. Ask the questions. You are so guided.